right, Claire's recording. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to take you through the agenda. So basically what we're going to start with is almost like a little day in the life of what this community care is going to be like. Everything from arrival, breaks, lunch, dismissal, and then we'll get into some, kind of specific things like cleaning, health and safety, students displaying symptoms, and then what those first few days are going to be like, along with the supplies that your students will need to bring.
Vamos a empezar viendo qué tal va a ser. Can you go back one? Vamos a empezar viendo cómo va a ser su día de un niño, viendo la agenda aquí, la llegada, la salida, el lonche, los descansos, la salida, y luego cosas más específicas como la limpieza, salud y la seguridad, los niños que están mostrando síntomas, los primeros días, y luego los materiales de los niños.
I'm going to read this quote and then I'm going to talk about it for just a second. Schools that operate as communities of care develop a sense of safety, a sense of belonging, a sense of joy, and a sense of hope in all of their students. These are essential in providing the foundation upon which our students can truly thrive.
Las escuelas que operan como comunidades de cuidado desarrollan el sentido de la seguridad, sentido del formar parte, de pertenecer, del gozo y también de la esperanza en todos sus alumnos. Son esenciales para proporcionar la base sobre la cual nuestros alumnos pueden prosperar.
This slide deck and this orientation can get a little kind of technical, but I want you to know that we're striving to make these communities of care as welcoming, as joyous, as full of love as our quote unquote regular classrooms would be. And alongside that, balancing that idea of safety, knowing that we're in a global pandemic and that there are things that we have to do to keep one another safe. My hope is that, when you walk away from this presentation, you'll know how we're going to keep everyone safe for sure. But I also want you to know that we're working to foster this, sense of belonging, joy, hope, alongside that safety as well.
Mucha de esta presentación va a ser información bastante técnica, pero estamos realmente intentando de proporcionarle a nuestros niños una comunidad que sienta tan acogedor que nuestros salones, digamos, regulares, pero manteniendo en cuenta la seguridad y la salud de todos, porque eso va a ser principal en todo lo que hacemos. Con eso primero, con la seguridad primero, queremos también tener el sentido del gozo, de la esperanza y del bienestar que siempre tenemos en nuestros salones.
Great. Okay, so we're going to start with arrival, which actually starts prior to even you coming on to campus or getting near campus. The first thing that you need to do in the morning is to fill out the COVID-19 self-screener, and it has to be filled out for each student. So if you have 3 kids that are coming here for communities of care, each one of those kids needs that self-screener filled out. Okay?
Para el plan de la llegada, eso empieza antes de llegar al campus en la mañana. Estamos pidiendo que para cada niño se rellene un cuestionario acerca del COVID.
Great. Beth has put the form in the chat, but it'll be emailed out to you as well.
Hay un enlace en el chat ahorita para ese cuestionario, pero también se va a enviar por email.
Great. So arrival and dismissal is going to be organized by classroom, meaning that what class your child is in or what community of care your child is in is going to determine which door you drop off your children at.
La llegada y la salida van a estar organizadas por clase. Entonces, la clase en que está su niño va a determinar en cuál puerta entra y sale.
Community care leads are going to reach out and let you know that you're in their class, and they will give you the room number. Okay. first floor classes will drop off at the north doors in our new rainbow lot. And second floor classes will drop off at the south doors.
Mañana los líderes de las comunidades del cuidado van a decirles a ustedes por email cuál entrada va a usar sus niños y en cuál salón van a estar sus hijos. Los del segundo piso van a entrar por las puertas del sur y los del primer piso van a entrar por las puertas del norte.
Okay. So we fill out the self-screener before you get to school. And then you go to the doors, and this is what will happen at the doors, okay? Someone will take your temperature, your child's temperature, through the car window, okay? Simultaneously, while we're taking that temperature, we'll double check to make sure that your form is filled out on an iPad. If the form is filled out and the temperature is good, the student can open their door and come into the building. Okay. Go ahead.
Primero, antes de llegar, como hemos dicho, hay que llenar el cuestionario en la casa. Al llegar a la escuela, se le va a tomar su temperatura al niño a través del vidrio del carro. Y también alguien del personal va a checar una lista para ver si ha entregado su forma. Y si los dos están bien, el niño mismo puede abrirse la puerta y entrar.
Because we are staffed, at a lower rate because we, obviously have less students coming into the building. We have to close the office down because we want all of our staff members to help with arrival so that everybody can get in the building in kind of an efficient way. So the main office is going to be closed from 7:45 to 8 o'clock so that Carmen, Yadira, Nurse Jay, everybody that is available is going to help with arrival.
Porque tenemos actualmente menos personal que van a estar en el campus. De las 7:45 hasta las 8 cada mañana, la oficina principal va a estar cerrada para que todos puedan estar ayudando con la entrada.
So at 8 o'clock, Nurse Jay and Carmen will transition to the main doors. And if students are tardy, they'll go to the main doors after 8 o'clock and line up following distancing guidelines. So meaning 6 feet apart.
A las 8, la señora Martínez y la enfermera van a ir a la puerta principal y los niños que llegan tarde pueden formarse con distanciamiento seguro de 6 pies para que entren uno por uno.
It's going to be a hard habit to break to not open doors, by the way. So.
Va a ser difícil para mí no romperme el hábito de abrir las puertas para los niños.
Great. Students who arrive to the building with an incomplete screener, meaning you didn't fill out the screener or it's incomplete, we can't have the student get out of the car. You need to leave the drop-off area, park, fill out the screener, and then return to get your child's temperature taken and to drop them off. If you, for one reason or another, don't have a device with you, you can park and you can go to the tables at the north lobby, the north doors, and use a school device. Mr. Suh will be there at least the first couple of days to make sure that we have somebody at that table ready to go with devices.
Si por alguna razón llega a la escuela con un cuestionario incompleto, el niño no puede salir del carro, los padres tendrán que salir del lote, aparcar y rellenar el formulario y luego regresar. Si no tiene dispositivo para llenar la forma, habrán unos que puede usar en la entrada de las puertas del norte y especialmente en los primeros días el de la tecnología, señor Suh, va a estar para ayudarles.
Great. Once you have that form filled out and the temperature is good, the student will enter through their assigned door.
Y los niños después entrarán por su puerta asignada, si tienen el cuestionario ya hecho.
Great. So students who arrive at the building with a temperature of 100.4 or higher,
Los niños que llegan a la escuela con una temperatura de 100.4 más arriba y en Celsius eso es 38.
We don't want the students to get out of the car, but you can leave the drop-off area and return for a second try in about 10 minutes. And you can have up to 3 attempts in a single day.
Si un niño registra una temperatura en 100.4 o 38 Celsius o más arriba, puede salir del lote y esperar 10 minutos y luego regresar para otro intento para ver, y máximo puede tener por día 3 intentos, pero en el tercero, si sigue arriba de esas temperaturas, no puede entrar ese día.
If 3 high temperatures are recorded, the student cannot attend community of care.
Sorry, I just said that. I got ahead of you.
Oh, you got that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a couple chats that seem pertinent at this point in time. For students that walk to school, we're going to get into that right now, and then 7:45 is what time arrival will start.
Ahorita vamos a hablar de los que llegan andando, y la hora de empezar de abrir las puertas es las 7:45.
Great. So the same routine applies for students that walk to school. They'll go to their assigned entrance. We'll check for the screener and take their temperature. If they don't have a screener, this is important. A parent or guardian has to fill out that screener. We can't have the kid fill it out. So if, your student might call you and say like, hey, we forgot to do the screener. Can you do it for me now? Once that happens, we'll take their temperature and they're good to go. The student or office will help contact the parent or guardian. If your kid doesn't have a phone, it's okay. We'll call, but it'll probably be after that 8 o'clock time, just to let you know.
Ok, entonces para los que llegan andando, tienen la misma rutina. Tendrán que entrar por su puerta designada y chequearse la temperatura y por su cuestionario. Si llega sin cuestionario hecho, un niño mismo no lo puede llenar. Lo que se hará es que irá a la oficina y el personal ahí ayudará al niño que llame al padre o al tutor que lo llene. Si es que no tiene teléfono para llamar a usted, niño, pero desde la oficina se puede. I think that's it.
Great. If the walking student has a temperature above 100.4, we'll try again in 10 minutes. Again, 3 tries in a single day. And then if they do have that temperature of above 100.4 3 times, they can't attend the community of care that day. In the case that happens, we will call you and let you know and work with you to figure out whether you want to come get the student or if they're okay to walk home, that kind of thing.
Igual que los otros niños que llegan por carro, si tiene temperatura arriba de 100.4 o 38 Celsius, que el niño después de 3 intentos de probarse la temperatura no puede entrar. Si eso llega a pasar, le llamaremos a usted y trabajaremos con usted para arreglar que el niño espere, que lo recoge, o que si da permiso usted que ande otra vez a la casa.
And the screener is a virtual form.
Y el cuestionario es formulario virtual.
Perfect.
So once students start walking into the building, they have the option to get breakfast and take their breakfast to their classroom to eat.
Cuando los niños llegan, tienen oportunidad de agarrar un desayuno para llevárselo a su salón.
In their community of care room, they go straight to their assigned seats. We are not using coat rooms. Coat rooms will be closed, and they keep their backpack and supplies at their seats.
Los niños al entrar al salón van directo a su asiento designado. No vamos a usar los closets para las cositas. Tendrán que mantener consigo su mochila y otros materiales.
So please make sure that students have all the supplies that are listed on the remote learning supply list, and that supplies are labeled with the student name. And if you need support with getting school supplies, let us know. Our community of care leads have already started putting together bags of supplies at each student's assigned areas in the classroom.
Por favor, asegure que todos los niños tengan sus materiales necesarios que están en la lista de materiales para aprendizaje remoto. Y por favor, asegure que también tienen escritos en los materiales el nombre del niño. Y si necesita ayuda en comprar los materiales, que nos digan, por favor. Y también están armando bolsas a los líderes de las comunidades para colocar en sus salones en los diferentes áreas.
Traditional supplies like pencils and crayons and those things, if you want those left at school, because in the event that we would have to close down for some reason, if they do not need those at home, then it's okay to leave those traditional supplies at school.
Los materiales más tradicionales, digamos, como lápices, crayones, que no importa si se quedan en la escuela en el caso de un cierre, eso sí que pueden dejar, pero que no dejen nada que no quiera consigo por si se cierra inesperadamente la escuela.
So students need to bring their school-issued device, so either their Chromebook or their iPad, and their charger back and forth every day. This was a question I know that came up in the chat. This is because if for some reason that classroom needs to shut down or something changes in the community and we can no longer do communities of care because of what's going on with COVID and we have to switch to all virtual, then there's no reason to come back and pick up a device, that everything is at home with you if we need to change paths.
Igual, acá para evitar problemas en el caso de un cierre, los niños tendrán que llevar consigo siempre su dispositivo y el cargador, a llevarlo a la escuela y llevárselos a la casa también, porque no queremos un día que se cierra la escuela y se queda sin computador si tenemos que hacer todo virtual para todos los alumnos.
And that also goes for our younger students. Their like math workbook and reading workbook should go back and forth as well.
Eso también para los más pequeñitos, sus libritos de trabajo de matemáticas y de lectura deben acompañarles a la escuela y también a la casa cada día.
And then students begin their morning work. Morning meetings, I know this week might have felt a little bit different because we have no students in community care, but morning meetings in classes will start at 8 o'clock.
Y después tendrán su reunión de la mañana, que ha sido tal vez un poco diferente, que ha sido la primera semana, pero normalmente va a empezar a las 8.
Students also get breaks built in during their day. They have a morning and afternoon bathroom break that is built into their schedule that aligns also with the rest of the class's schedule.
Van a tener descansos. En la mañana, en la tarde, va a tener cuando puede ir al baño y está en línea con las otras clases.
If a student really needs to go to the bathroom outside of their bathroom break, we will let them leave their class one at a time, but we really highly encourage students use the bathroom during their bathroom breaks.
Si un niño realmente necesita ir al baño afuera de estos descansos, obvio lo vamos a dejar ir uno por uno, pero realmente estamos abogando que por favor, si posible, que usemos a la misma vez en nuestros horarios que tenemos.
Also in their day, they have a 30-minute recess break. Weather permitting, they will be outside at recess. Our playground is closed and students are required to wear masks outside and socially distance.
Cada día va a haber 30 minutos de receso. Si se permite, la temperatura, la lluvia, etcétera, van a estar fuera y tendrán que estar a una distancia segura y llevarse la mascarilla.
And students can bring toys from home that they can play with at recess. However, they cannot be plush or make noise, and they cannot share the toy with their friends.
Los niños pueden llevarse un juguete para jugar durante el receso, pero no puede ser hecho de felpa ni hacer sonidos y no se puede compartir con otros.
And there's brain breaks that are already built into the student's class schedule that aligns also with the rest of their class.
También hay descansos que son parte de su día virtual, que está en el mismo horario con su clase.
So students will have lunch every day in the classroom, and they have a choice between two options for lunch.
Van a
Go ahead.
perdón, van a tener cada día su lonche en el salón de clase y tendrán dos opciones.
The lunch menu will be posted on our website and is emailed out every day or every month.
El menú del lonche enviaremos por email y también está en nuestra página web.
It was emailed. Oh, sorry, Melissa, I just wanted to jump in and say it was emailed to this group yesterday, the menus for September.
Ayer se envió a ustedes para septiembre.
For our younger students, it's sometimes hard to make a decision between the two choices at school. So if possible with our younger ones, if you can have that conversation with them about what they're going to eat, it will make lunch go a lot smoother and faster.
A veces para nuestros pequeñitos les dificulta elegir lo que quiere para almorzar. Si es posible, conversar con sus hijos antes de llegar de lo que va a escoger para que nos fluya mejor nuestro lonche.
And if students want, they can bring lunch from home, and they'll be required to sanitize their hands before and after eating.
Los niños sí que pueden traer su comida de la casa y a todos vamos a asegurar que todos antes de y después de comer desinfecten sus manos.
All right. So for our dismissal plan, with the exception of our kindergarten students will dismiss out of the same door that they enter through.
Para el plan de la salida, menos kinder, todos los demás saldrán de la misma puerta por la cual entraron.
Students who are in first floor classrooms will dismiss out the north doors, and they will have an assigned spot on the rainbow top where they will stand with their community care lead. Parents will pull up on Spalding, and staff members will then walkie the community care leads to send the students to their cars as they pull up.
Los niños en el primer piso saldrán por las puertas del norte y tendrán por clase su lugar en el lote de arcoíris, ahora de arcoíris. Y los padres vendrán por la calle Spalding y el personal hablará por radio y llevarán a los niños a sus carros.
Students in second floor classrooms will dismiss out of the south doors, and parents will pull up on Grace. We recommend not taking Spalding so you can avoid that pickup traffic. Same procedure, they'll pull up, a staff member will signal the student to then walk to their car.
Ok, y igual para los del segundo piso van a salir de las puertas del sur y que los padres van a pasar en la calle Grace. Les recomendamos que no pasen por Spalding porque va a haber mucho tráfico. Y igual vamos a usar las radios para señalar a los niños que vayan a sus carros.
Our kindergarten students' classrooms will be in the annex. So parents of kindergarten students will be asked to park and walk up to the annex doors, spaced out 6 feet. There will be a staff member at the doors who will greet you and call your student to dismiss out those doors.
Para los padres del kinder, les estamos pidiendo por favor que estacionen sus carros y que caminen hasta las puertas del anexo y que se pongan en una fila distanciada y va a haber miembros del personal en la puerta y llamará a su hijo que salga a unirse con usted.
Just like in the morning, in order to have all hands on deck, the office will be closed during dismissal from 3:30 to 3:45, and late pickup will begin at 3:45 at the north doors, 1:15 on Wednesdays.
E igual, como en la mañana necesitaremos todo personal a ayudar con la salida, entonces la oficina principal se cerrará de las 3:30 hasta las 3:45 y luego se abrirá otra vez a las 3:45 para las recogidas tardes, igual a la 1:15 los miércoles para las recogidas tardes.
All right, so let's talk about what the cleaning procedures are going to look like. Classrooms will be sanitized every single day after dismissal. Now, given the smaller size and need, but still giving us as much social distance space as possible, we're not using all of our classrooms, obviously, so this is definitely going to be a manageable task for us. Bathrooms will be cleaned and wiped down, sanitized after each of the scheduled bathroom breaks. The additional hand sanitizer stations have already been installed around the school. I've been using them happily. And students may absolutely bring their own hand sanitizer. I would say that, we encourage that. It's always good to have some on deck. Door handles, railings, and other high touch surface areas are scheduled for sanitizing then throughout the day.
Las clases se van a limpiar y desinfectar cada día después de la salida y los baños se van a desinfectar después de los descansos de baño para ir al baño que están en el horario. También desinfectante de gel estará por todo el edificio, en todos los pasillos y también en los salones de clase. Y obvio los niños pueden traer el suyo, el de uso personal, que puede tener consigo en su persona. Y también otras superficies que se tocan mucho se limpiarán, desinfectarán a lo largo del día.
Miss Miano, I apologize sincerely for speaking in such a block, but you are the best in the game, my friend.
The slides are saving us all.
Great. Okay, so Mr. Keebler.
So for health and safety, students are required to wear face masks and adhere to social distancing guidelines throughout the day. I saw a question in the chat, like what if they're at their desk and they're so many feet apart? We're asking that everybody wear a mask all the time when they're in classrooms, when they're in the building. So, just so that we can keep everybody safe. Melissa, myself, Claire, we've been working in the building, often in the classroom, we're constantly wearing masks. Even then, I know it's annoying. It is hard, but we've got to keep them on to keep one another safe.
Los niños les son requeridos a llevarse mascarilla y también mantener distancia segura por todo el día. Sabemos, un padre preguntó aún en su escritorio si el niño distanciado por 6 pies podría quitarse la mascarilla y la respuesta es que no, vamos a requerir que todos siempre lleven su mascarilla. El Mr. Keebler, Ms. Feinberg y otros que han estado trabajando en el edificio también están llevando sus mascarillas. Sabemos que es duro, no es ideal, pero es algo que vamos a hacer para mantener la seguridad de todos.
Hallway and classroom signage and markings will be in place to ensure 6 feet of social distancing. There's some really cool branded markers for this that Beth is in the process of installing.
Y por los pasillos y en las clases tendremos letreros y marcas también que indicarán cómo distanciarse y hay unos de la marca 10 que son nuevos que estamos ahora colocando por todo el edificio que está haciendo Ms. Gladney del momento.
And then the water fountains are turned off right now. There's coverings over them. So even if a student was to come up and put their mouth on it or something, that they wouldn't even have the opportunity to do it. They have these little locking cups on them. We are asking that students bring a reusable water bottle to use the filling station. We have those new filling stations that Craig Henderson and our PTO kind of worked on and funded. So they're brand new. They're kind of like the ones you see at the airport or in your gym to fill up their water bottles. They're pretty cool.
las fuentes del agua se han apagado y ya están tapadas con digamos, una taza que está bloqueada y los niños siquiera podrán tocar las fuentes. Estamos pidiendo que cada quien traiga una botella reusable de la casa para llenar. Tenemos nuevos fuentes diferentes que no se tocan con la boca, que se usa para rellenar su vaso. Gracias al PTO, al grupo de padres, a Craig Henderson y otras personas que han planeado para donar estas máquinas a la escuela.
All right. This is the important part. We sent out a family acknowledgement of community of care safety assurances. So I just want to like really double down on this and let you know that school is remote. This is a service that we're trying to provide because we know how hard it is to get things done, you know, when you're simultaneously trying to be a mom or a dad and supervise school at the same time. We want to provide a safe place for students to come and learn, but that comes, you know, during a global pandemic at a higher expectation than we would have for normal school. Nicole, I'm going to pause for a second to let you translate, and then I'll get into some of this other stuff.
Como saben, la escuela este trimestre es virtual, es remoto, pero porque sabemos que es súper difícil como padre trabajar y a la misma vez asegurar que sus hijos estén aprendiendo, estamos ofreciendo estas comunidades como servicio a nuestros padres, pero con esta comunidad vienen un plan de seguridad y unas expectativas más altas de lo normal.
Yeah. So we have to have that form signed saying that you understand the expectations of communities of care. Nicole, I'm going to try to go slow for you.
Vamos a requerir esta forma firmada de todos ustedes para reconociendo que reconocen las expectativas para empezar el primer día en las comunidades.
So part of that form says, you know, that we're requiring all students to follow the health and safety requirements contained in that community care plan for families. And that means face coverings, hygiene, cleaning, sanitation, physical space, and usage of school materials. We can't have kids sharing materials.
Como parte del plan, las familias tendrán que reconocer las partes requeridas de nuestro plan, cuáles son el llevarse mascarilla, el higiene, la limpieza, la desinfección, el distanciamiento social y también el uso de los materiales, que los niños no pueden compartir materiales.
You can print that form off, bring it on the first day. Sorry, there was some chats around it. Erin emailed hers to me. That's fine. I forwarded it to Eliza, who's gonna track those, Miss Jimenez. But you know, we need one from everybody on that first day for sure.
Puede imprimirlo y traerlo el primer día. También lo puede enviar por email y él les asegurará que llegue a las personas indicadas. Pero sí que es una expectativa que se tenga antes de empezar el primer día.
So like everything at Irving Park, we're going to try to teach first on this stuff. You know, we'll remind, but you know, if there are students that are putting other students in danger and failing to uphold these expectations, there may be a possibility that we would have to remove those students from the school-based option for remote learning, meaning they couldn't be a part of this community of care program.
Como todo lo que hacemos en Irving Park, primero vamos a enseñar, a dar recuerdos, pero sí con constancia un niño está poniendo en peligro a otros compañeros y negando seguir con los requisitos, es posible que esa persona se tendrá que remover de la comunidad. pero seguirá, obvio, en su aprendizaje virtual.
Great. Thanks.
So if a student is displaying symptoms during the school day, they will be removed from their class or their community of care classroom by Nurse J.
Si un niño en el día está teniendo síntomas, irá con la enfermera de su clase.
They will be taken to a designated isolation room. This room is actually right outside of Nurse J's office and my office and Mrs. Connor's office.
Irán directo a un salón designado para estar solo, que está cruzando el pasillo de las oficinas de él y de la enfermera.
That is a very large classroom. The desks are spread out. There's very few spaces in there, and it has been set up to be a sterile environment.
Hay muy pocos escritorios en el salón es grande y es diseñado para ser un espacio desinfectado.
Once this designation has been made and their symptoms have been identified, parents will be notified and required to pick up students within the hour.
Una vez que se haya identificado al niño y el padre ha sido notificado, tendrá que recoger al niño dentro de una hora.
We're obviously going to encourage any students who are showing symptoms to seek medical attention, and these students will be required to self-quarantine for 10 days unless an alternative diagnosis is reached by a healthcare professional, and we would need documentation of that.
Todos niños que tienen esta situación les vamos a aconsejar que busquen atención médica y tendrán que estar en cuarentena por 10 días, menos que un diagnóstico por profesional médico no se estado por un diagnóstico alternativo se entrega por su doctor o otro profesional.
So like JW said, we want to make sure that our classrooms still have that sense of joy, welcoming, that they always do. And so they'll be set up like a typical classroom. We have bulletin boards, we have colorful posters. The only difference you'll notice is that the desks or seating options are distanced. We've measured them out so that they're all 6 feet apart. So here are a couple pictures.
Como dijo el director, vamos a intentar de mantenernos el sentido del gozo y del acogedor que tenemos normalmente, pero los escritorios sí tendrán que estar distanciados.
It took a global pandemic for us to put desks in rows again.
Se requería una pandemia para que formáramos otra vez los escritorios en filas de nuevo.
For the first few days of school, we are going to make sure that students are able to balance joining their virtual classrooms with building that community with their community care lead and classroom.
En los primeros días vamos a balancear la experiencia de los niños entre sus clases virtuales y también en sus nuevas comunidades dentro del salón.
So teachers are aware that students who are participating in community care may be in and out of the virtual classroom in those first couple of days, but please also prepare your child by letting them know that attendance won't count against them if they're not in all of their virtual classes on that first day especially.
Los maestros de los niños saben que en esos días que los niños tal vez no asistan a todas las clases virtuales y la asistencia no va a contar en contra de sus niños ese día. Por favor, explíqueles para que no estén nerviosos de perder sus clases en línea ese día o esos primeros días.
The community care leads will have access to all of the students in their rooms' schedules. So they'll be sure students are logging into Zoom on time. They'll help them access Clever or any platforms that they may need. They'll walk around, make sure that students are engaged, doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they'll be able to support any tech issues that might pop up throughout the day.
Los líderes en las comunidades tendrán acceso a los horarios de los niños todos y les va a ayudar a iniciar sesión de Zoom o de Clever. También estarán andando por todo el salón apoyándoles y también viendo si participan o no y apoyar con todos los asuntos o problemas técnicos que salgan.
Like we said earlier, it will be really important that students come prepared each day so that they can have a successful day of learning. So here is a one-stop shop list of things that they should bring each day: a face mask, their school-issued device and charger, headphones with a microphone. Please make sure that your student's microphone is working so that they are able to communicate with their teacher and class, a reusable water bottle, their supplies that are listed in that remote learning supply list, at least one independent reading book that they can read at their seat, and then the toys or items to use during break time that we mentioned. Can't be plush and can't make sounds.
Para asegurar que llegue su niño preparado para el día y para tener éxito, esa es una lista de las cosas necesarias. Uno, su mascarilla y también su dispositivo, computador o iPad y con el cargador también. Unos audífonos con micrófono para que puedan verbalmente participar con sus clases. Una botella para su agua reusable y los otros materiales que están en la lista del aprendizaje remoto. Y también, por favor, un libro que puede leer solo en su silla. Y luego un juguete que puede usar en el receso, pero que no sea, por favor, de felpa y que no haga sonido.
Okay, so before Tuesday, here are kind of the to-dos.
Antes del martes, estos son los quehaceres.
So review the community care and remote learning plan. This was sent to you, it was emailed out to this group twice now this week in the email that came from Mr. Keebler, but once we go into questions, I will add these links to the chat.
Primera cosa es de revisar el plan de las comunidades de cuidado y aprendizaje remoto. Ha sido enviado por email 2 veces por Mr. Keebler esta semana, pero también cuando entramos a la hora de las preguntas, lo pondrá Ms. Kolodny en el chat de nuevo, un enlace.
You want to print and sign the family acknowledgement of community care safety assurances. That was also linked into the letter that Mr. Keebler sent out.
También imprimir y firmar el reconocimiento de la seguridad en las comunidades de cuidado.
And then you're going to want to complete the community care student profile form. This is a profile that's going to ask you lots of questions about your child or children. And this is an online tool, so you don't have to print anything out.
Y completar también el perfil del niño en la comunidad. Y ese perfil es virtual, no tendrá que imprimir nada.
And I just emailed out from Ms. Jimenez the pickup forms and walk home forms. So those are the forms that you fill out if you're a returning parent. You know you fill these out every year at the beginning of the year. We need these for the students that are coming on campus. It says if they can walk home, if they can take a sibling and walk home, and then also asks you to list people who can pick your student up just for safety purposes.
También llenar una forma que indique quién puede o cómo puede irse el niño de la escuela o quién los puede recoger. Va a indicar si puede caminar solo, si puede caminar con un hermano y quién, como he dicho, lo puede llevar.
And that was emailed to you this afternoon, so it should be in your email from Ms. Jimenez, like I said.
Y eso se envió hoy en la tarde de la señora Jiménez.
Also, we sent out and covered this already, but you're going to want to look at the lunch menus. Those were in an email from Mr. Keebler yesterday, I believe.
Y también, como mencionamos, querrán revisar los menús del almuerzo que se envió ayer del señor Keebler.
And then Tuesday morning, while you're rushing out of the house, please make sure that your student with your assistant completes the self-screener so that we have that ready and you're not slowed down getting into school.
Y el martes en la mañana, cuando están con muchas cosas saliendo de la casa, por favor asegúrense de llenar el cuestionario del COVID para que lleguen bien a la escuela.
And I will send those out probably from Mr. Keebler or Ms. Jimenez's email address tomorrow to everybody.
Y este cuestionario va a enviar desde el email de la señora Jiménez o del señor Keebler mañana.
So if you are thinking this is a ton of stuff, which it is, and you can't keep track of it, please search Mr. Keebler's email address and Ms. Jimenez, that's Jimenez at distinctiveschools.org. Those are the, Eliza Jimenez is her name. Those are the two email addresses that you want to search.
Si usted se está pensando que son muchísimas cosas que tiene que buscar ahorita, en su email puede buscar dos direcciones, o del señor Keebler o de la señora Jiménez. Su dirección es Jimenez. Ustedes saben de letras Jiménez. Y luego el señor Keebler, que es Kueber, y ver cuáles emails recién han enviado.
And the most important point, Beth, Tuesday is a 1 p.m. dismissal.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Right in bold right there, and I just missed it.
Y algo muy importante que casi perdemos es que el martes, este primer martes, se va a salir a la 1.
Great. All right, I'm going to start going through the chat.
You want me to read it from the beginning, or are you good?
If you want to read them off, I'll answer them as we
Okay,
go.
great. Perfect. All right.
Hand them off when they need
Happy-
them.
Ms. Feinberg va a leer las preguntas que nos han llegado por el chat y el señor Keebler va a intentar de contestarlas.
So the first one was, will staff also be connected to the Zoom meetings with teachers and students? I'm assuming that means community care leads.
Yeah.
La pregunta es de que si el personal de comunidades van a estar en los Zoom.
So this gets into some of the other questions that I saw down below, but the staff will be aware of, kind of what the children's schedule are, the students' schedule are, but they won't necessarily be in the meeting. And the reason for that is that they're going to have several different meetings going on at the same time within the same classroom. We had to prioritize siblings over grade level to keep the number of exposures down when we could. And so what you'll find is that if you have 3 students at Irving Park, all 3 students are in the same community of care to keep the level of exposure, like I said, low.
Los líderes de las comunidades no van a estar en los Zooms pero aunque van a estar, van a saber cuáles son los horarios de sus diferentes estudiantes, es porque en cada comunidad va a haber niños de diferentes grados y eso viene porque hemos priorizado estar juntos los hermanos más que estar juntos por grado para que sea menos el riesgo de estar expuesto a diferentes personas. Entonces, por ejemplo, si usted tiene 3 niños en la escuela, los 3 niños todos van a estar en la misma comunidad.
So you also answered the question about how will staff know when students are supposed to be working rather than sitting, so they'll have access to schedules.
Mm-hmm.
La otra pregunta es si el personal, los líderes de las comunidades sabrán cuándo los niños deben de estar trabajando, y la respuesta es que sí, porque tendrán los horarios.
Yeah, and our intention is to have those staff members, circulating, supervising, and making sure that they're aware of what the students in their room are doing.
La intención es de tener esas personas caminando por el salón e intentando que estén participando y supervisando la atención de los niños y sus necesidades.
Can staff tell if and when a student has muted their meeting?
Si puede saber el líder si el niño se ha puesto en mute sin voz en su video.
I mean, the real answer is probably not, but they're going to do their best to make sure that everybody's engaged. And I think this is where some of the relationship building that we want to happen will come into play. You know, we're going to have to trust kids in this, you know, environment a little bit. And to be honest with you, you know, like those times, you know, are kind of few and far between. Typically the teachers catch it before, you know, someone in the outside space would.
La respuesta es que a lo mejor no, pero sí que vamos a intentar de que los niños participen y estén como realmente entregados a lo que están haciendo, pero ya esencial, digamos, a eso va a ser la relación que tenemos en nuestras comunidades y tendremos realmente que tener confianza con nuestros alumnos también y realmente crecer esa confianza. Pero normalmente encima los maestros que están dando las clases notan primero si un niño está hablando o no ha apagado su altavoz.
What is the staff to student ratio?
What ratio, guys? No. ¿Cuál es el número de comparación de los maestros a los niños?
So it depends on the class. The most we can have in a classroom is 15.
Depende de la clase, pero el máximo que podemos tener en un salón son 15.
Will staff be given a list of students that have IEPs or 504 plans?
Si se le va a entregar al líder una lista de los niños que tienen plan 104 o de IEP, es plan de educación individualizado.
Like a list of students? I mean, like, so I just want to clarify that all services, like 504 plan services, all IEP services are happening remotely because all of our instruction is happening remotely. Nicole, do you want to go ahead and translate that and then I'll talk about the rest of it?
Nada más acordarles que todo servicio para los planes, tanto 504 y IEP, se le va a entregar virtual, porque todo aprendizaje es virtual.
Staff will have access to those 504 plans and IEPs. However, like they're not the people that are giving the services. But in those 504 plans especially, the staff needs to be aware of who has a 504 plan because things like food allergies are covered in 504 plans. So it's really important that our staff is aware of those students so that they can make sure that they're keeping those students safe.
Dicho eso, los líderes de las comunidades sí que tendrán acceso a las listas, aunque ellos mismos no darán servicios, pero especialmente en el caso de los planes 504, es importante que los líderes sepan cuáles son los niños en caso de alergias, otras cosas que tienen que mantener al niño seguro.
What's going on with Zoom?
I don't know.
¿Qué pasa con Zoom?
Nadie
sabe si entraba y salía el señal, Dios sabe.
What is going on with Zoom?
¿Qué es lo que pasa con Zoom?
But we're doing the best that we can to give people that still need help logging in the attention that they need to get their students logged in.
Estamos intentando de dar el apoyo a los que se les dificulta el iniciar sesión. Estamos intentando apoyarles como podamos y con todos los servicios que tenemos.
Who are our community leads?
¿Quiénes son sus líderes de comunidad?
I'm assuming that Jacob probably just wants to know who his is, but no. It's a mix. It's there's one teacher, one parapro, Miss Drury, one of our new kindergarten teachers. Well, is one of them. Mr. Magaling, one of our paraprofessionals, is another. Our extended day and lunch and recess staff are filling those positions as well. And we have at least, 3 new hires now, Melissa? And
Yeah.
we're trying to work the budget so that we can get a 4th, because even with all those people, we're still worried about coverage if multiple people take off the same day.
Suponía que Jacob nada más quería saber cuál era su líder, pero para decir en general, va a haber un maestro que es la nueva maestra de kinder que se llama la señorita Drury. También el ayudante del señor Magaling va a ser líder. Y luego muchos que antes, el año pasado, hacían el cuidado de después de la escuela y receso. Y tendremos 3 nuevos miembros del personal que se acaba de contratar, y estamos quizá buscando otra 4ª porque nos preocupa la situación en que muchos tienen que pedir libre o estén enfermos para que tengamos quien lo cubra.
There's a chat that's private to me that's right around this area, so I'm gonna do this question just so I don't forget as I scroll down. But it talks about documenting students that are signed in. So attendance is tricky in this environment, right? Because so we know that all of our learning is remote, right? All of our classes are remote. So that's the attendance that counts, because it's possible for you to keep your student home from a community of care, but still have them engaged in remote learning. And so our remote learning attendance is going to be specifically focused on keeping track of who's in the building, at what times and that kind of thing. And then teachers are documenting throughout the day who's signed into their meetings. We actually take attendance, 5 times in the day now, Joe? In most cases, in the younger grades, it might be a little less frequently just because they're in fewer sort of like classes. They don't switch and that kind of thing. But the teachers are ultimately responsible for taking that attendance. Communicating and sorry, Nicole, I'll let you go to town on that, and then I'll talk about communicating in absence.
Awesome. Sabemos que en este ambiente virtual es un poco difícil realmente saber de la asistencia, pero la asistencia que cuenta es la virtual. Porque es posible que se quede en casa y no asista a su comunidad, pero que todavía siga con su aprendizaje en línea. La asistencia que tomamos aquí en el edificio es nada más para saber quién está en el edificio. Los maestros que están enseñando remoto están tomando rol, viendo quién está asistiendo como 5 veces por día. Tal vez con los otros niños chiquiticos, no tanto porque no están cambiando clases, pero realmente es la responsabilidad de los maestros saber quién está y tomar la asistencia.
Do you have more, JW?
Yeah, so communicating in absence. Sorry, my wife tried to call me. She knows I'm in this meeting, so I just declined it. Anyway, it's a good husband, right? Sorry. Communicating in absence. So if your student is going to be absent and unable to participate in remote learning, I would email both your teacher and your community care lead so that we know kind of what's going on, so that the teacher knows, hey, I'm not going to expect Jacob in class today. His mom emailed, he's got a doctor's appointment kind of thing in the morning or something like that. Nicole, do you want to translate that? No.
El chiste era de que le llamó su esposa que sabía que estaba en esa reunión y no contestó. Entonces, la manera de comunicar ausencia es de, por favor, enviarle un email a su maestra y también al líder de la comunidad para que todos involucrados sepan lo que está pasando, si tienen enfermedad, si tienen cita médica, todo eso.
And then, you know, if you're just going to be gone from community of care and, you know, your student's still going to participate in the remote learning, just let your community care lead know so that we know not to expect them at school that day.
Y si solo va a faltar de estar en la escuela, pero va a seguir en línea, nada más tendrá que enviar email, por favor, al líder de la comunidad.
That one was a spam risk, not my wife.
Esa no era de su esposa, quien era número desconocido.
Okay. Well, I think you touched on this a little bit with siblings, but will students be with students of the same grade or mixed?
La pregunta es de si los niños van a estar con los del mismo grado o mixteados.
Kindergarten will be with kindergarten. Other than that, everybody is mixed because of the siblings.
Los de kinder van a estar en grupos con solo otros de kinder, pero los demás van a estar en grupos mixteados, basado mayormente en estar con hermanos.
Nicole, I'm putting the next one in the chat. It was written in Spanish, so if you could do the reverse translation, that would be really
Hold on, I gotta scroll way down.
Well, oh, sorry, go ahead. Did you find it, Nicole?
Yes. Asking, la pregunta es de cuándo van a entrar los niños a las clases regulares. So when are kids going to get back to regular classes?
Like when are we going to be back in school?
I think that's the question, yes.
Wow.
¿Cuándo vamos a ir a la escuela? Y la respuesta es que no se sabe.
Yeah, so according to the state plan, that would happen in phase 5, which is vaccine and herd immunity. So, and I don't know when that would be, unfortunately.
Según el plan del Estado, pasaría cuando entremos a la fase 5. En esa fase, por ejemplo, se requiere que haya una vacuna y otras cosas así parecidas.
I have a private one about will students have their own desks or will they be shared? Every student will have their own desk. A lot of them already have their names on their desks and stuff. They did little nameplates for them and little supply bags for them and stuff. It's nice.
La pregunta es de si los niños van a compartir sus escritorios o va a tener uno solo para sí. Y la respuesta es que no se va a compartir. Ese niño mismo va a tener su escritorio para sí. Y hasta ahora ciertos ya tienen sus nombrecitos en el escritorio con sus bolsitas de materiales.
What happened, well, this is the one I called about, JW, what happens if there are siblings and one has symptoms or a temp higher than 100.4? Is it just the one with the symptoms or temperature that cannot attend?
La pregunta es de que si llega un hermano, un alumno que es hermano de otros en la escuela y tiene síntomas o temperatura alta, si solo ese niño se tiene que salir o también sus hermanos.
Do you want me to answer it, JW? Because I called it.
Mike, yeah.
Okay, so if a student gets sick and has a temperature and showing symptoms like sore throat, fever, all siblings need to stay home for that 10-day quarantine. Go ahead, Nicole.
Si un niño se enferma y tiene síntomas como dolor de garganta, temperatura alta, todos hermanos tendrán que estar en cuarentena por 10 días.
However, that 10-day quarantine can be shortened if the child that's sick goes to the doctor and you get a doctor's note stating that there's an alternative diagnosis that's not COVID-19 or... Go ahead, Nicole.
Puede ser menos durar menos esa cuarentena si va al doctor y ese doctor ofrece un diagnóstico alternativo que no sea COVID.
Or if there's a negative, if the student that's showing symptoms gets a negative COVID test within 48 hours of those symptoms showing, and you can produce evidence of a negative COVID test.
También otra muestra que podría dar es si durante los 48 horas después de que el niño empiece a demostrar síntomas, que le dé una prueba de COVID negativo y que usted puede dar que puede comprobar, tener evidencia de esa prueba negativa.
I'm going to put in the chat in a minute a document that Distinctive Schools is using to help explain some of these like other symptoms and sicknesses and things like that.
And it's ISB, right?
From ISB, correct.
Ahorita en el chat va a colocar un documento del estado que explica de las diferentes síntomas y enfermedades.
Give me 1 minute.
Yep, no problem.
Momentico, dice.
I'll look down. Community care is what we're doing. Yes. Siblings.
How many students are anticipated for community of care?
¿Cuántos niños se espera para estar en las comunidades?
120, right?
Yes.
120.
For students who couldn't get a dental appointment yet for dental forms, are they still able to go on Tuesday?
A los niños que no pudo entrar a una cita dental, todavía puede empezar el martes.
I can answer that.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Beth.
Absolutely. Our dental forms and doctor appointments are not due, until October for those grades. And I know that the network is working on what to do if your doctor is not seeing people unless it's an emergency.
Dice que definitivamente que sí, no estamos requiriendo la entrega de esas formas hasta octubre, y si su médico no está viendo pacientes, también podría trabajar con la red Distinctive Schools para arreglar algo.
Will CICS Irving Park be used as a polling place this year for voting?
Yep.
Sí se va a usar la escuela para lugar de votación este año, y sí.
However,
Yeah. However, we don't have school that day.
Pero no hay escuela ese día.
Yep.
for
And
teachers
we'll be
and
sanitized. Yeah.
Los niños, ambos niños y maestros, no hay escuela.
Go vote.
So go vote. Yep. And
Vaya a votar.
so the polling place is the gym, which is not being used by students, and we'll have everything sanitized by the time the students come the next day.
La votación se va a ver en el gimnasio que los niños siquiera usan, y encima se van a desinfectar todito antes de que al siguiente día entren los alumnos.
if students are using devices from home, not school issued devices, is that okay?
Si los niños usen dispositivos tecnológicos de la casa y no de la escuela, ¿qué tal?
I think so, right?
I think so. Yeah, we can double check on it, but I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Sí está bien. Van a checarlo, pero creen que está bien.
It's fine as long as they can bring it to and from school, and we have the
Yeah.
place for them to plug it in during breaks.
Especially since like our Chromebooks are back ordered. I mean, yeah.
Especialmente que tenemos falta de Chromebooks del momento. Lo único es que lo tiene que llevar de la casa y regresar a la casa cada día.
If we have a balance from, like, for example, iCook, can that go towards fees this year? And do we have to pay the fee on Tuesday for the remote learning fee?
Sorry, I didn't understand that one.
If there's a balance, like a financial balance from a club from last year,
Oh,
can that go towards the fee, the remote learning fee this year? And do they have to pay the fee on Tuesday?
okay. Si hay, si sobran el dinero que se hace de los clubes del año pasado, si ese dinero podría ir hacia el costo del aprendizaje virtual para este año. Y también otra pregunta es si se tiene que pagar antes del martes para empezar las clases.
So families that had paid for April and part of March and any time after that, they should have been reimbursed. So if you weren't, please email myself or Ms. Jimenez for those for after school programs. And then so that's that. And then the balance, or excuse me, not the balance, but the activity fee or remote learning fee for this year, it's not due yet. We haven't even sent out how we are going to take payments because we're going to do that online. So don't worry about it for now. And if anyone needs to set up a payment plan when the time comes, that's fine too. We're very much willing to work with families, and everyone will come to school on Tuesday. They will not be deterred because of a remote learning fee.
Okay. Did you say for March and April?
Yeah, from last year, like when we shut down,
Right.
whatever they paid that covered that time.
Si usted haya pagado el año pasado por marzo o abril, se le debería haber reembolsado el dinero de los clubes, y si no, por favor, que envíe un email a la señora Jiménez o a la señora Colatany para recibir su reembolso. El costo del aprendizaje remoto no se debe ahorita todavía. No hemos realmente visto la manera de que vamos a aceptar el pago. Y hasta cuando sepamos si quiere un plan para hacer pagos más pequeños, separados, también trabajaremos juntos para realizar esto. Todos vamos a asegurar que todos lleguen bien a la escuela sin tener que faltar por causa de pagos el martes. Que no se preocupen del momento del pago.
Just a couple things came up in the chat. Just to reiterate, all students need to bring headphones with a microphone, their charger, and their device every day, back and forth.
Para reenfatizar, algo que salió en el chat es que cada día los niños tienen que traer sus audífonos con micrófono y también su cargador y dispositivo cada día, llevar de la casa y luego regresar a la casa.
What does the setup look like for kindergarten, noticing that they need a little bit more help navigating through Zoom and other apps during the day?
¿Cómo van a manejar para kinder, especialmente que necesitan más apoyo para navegar el Zoom y otras aplicaciones?
So we've purposely kind of put kindergarten in their own space because of that. Marina is going to be one of the communities of care teachers in there. That's confirmed, right, Melissa? Did you talk to her today and she's still into it? Good. Okay. I just didn't want to speak out of turn if she had changed her mind. Anyway, so she will be helping those students along with the other community care lead, who I think is Lisette, right?
Yeah, who's a mom of a kindergarten.
Who's the mom of a kindergartner. And so both of those, leads are really adept at understanding the particular needs of kindergartners. And so I'm confident that they'll be able to kind of help handle the different issues that may come up for our little guys.
Por eso hemos realmente apartado a los de kinder en sus grupos de sí nada más. Y para nuestro primer grupo de los de kinder tenemos una maestra de kinder, la nueva, la señorita Drury, que se confirmó hoy que sí lo va a hacer. Y también en el otro grupo tenemos a la señora Guerrero, Lisa Guerrero, que es madre de una niña de kinder. Entonces las dos saben mucho y conocen mucho de cómo ayudar a niños de esa edad.
Two more questions. Are Wednesdays extended days, or what's the hours for Wednesdays?
¿Cuál es el horario para los miércoles?
Wednesdays are 1 p.m. dismissal days.
Los miércoles se sale a la 1.
And what happens if a vaccine doesn't come out for years?
¿Y qué pasa si no sale una vacuna por años?
I don't know.
No sabe.
No.
No sabe ese hombre.
Like from my position, fortunately, a lot of those choices are made way above my head. You know, I don't want to sit on the Zoom call and pretend to know, you know, but I'm assuming that if that's the case, you know, we'll just take it as it comes, I guess. I don't know. I mean, like I was listening to the news today and they were saying that, you know, maybe mid-year next year.
Who knows?
But who knows, right?
Nicole.
Que está muy agradecido de que estas decisiones están muy arriba de su posición, fuera de sus manos. No puede pretender saber exactamente la respuesta, que vamos a tomarlo como cuando viene, como viene. Y estaba escuchando las noticias que tal vez salga a la mitad del año que entra, pero realmente la respuesta es que nadie sabe.
I think the important thing to think about though, as like we end on like this question, is that nobody wants to go back to school more than us and our teachers and our staff. This is we know how hard it is on parents, and it's incredibly hard on teachers as well. This is not what we want, and we want it to be safe enough for us all to go back to school.
Thanks, Melissa. Great.
Para terminar con la idea de que nadie más que los maestros que quieran que regresemos a los salones. Sabemos que es muy duro para las familias, pero que sepan que realmente los maestros, en el primer momento en que sea seguro para regresar, estamos queriendo mucho estar de nuevo con nuestras clases.
Sneaky in question about Puma of the Week.
La última pregunta del premio del Puma de la semana y que sí todavía se va a hacer.
Okay, I thought I saw one about uniforms. No uniforms. Up, I think it might have been in Spanish. Up in the chat. No uniforms. We don't want anybody that might be relying on a laundromat to have to like worry about, you know, getting their uniform clean or whatever, and risking more exposure. And then Pumas of the Week tomorrow, first community meeting.
But no Pumas of the Week tomorrow. But no Pumas of the Week tomorrow.
No Pumas of the Week tomorrow.
Mañana va a ser la primera reunión de comunidad, pero no se va a hacer Puma de la semana esta semana. Y pregunta que había de los uniformes, que nadie va a llevar uniforme este año, que no queremos que nadie salga a las lavanderías, etcétera, a exponerse. Entonces, sin uniformes por ahora.
We're still working on the format for Pumas of the Week and community meetings, so look at the Puma updates for more information on that. But follow our YouTube page, but don't go sneaky there tonight, though, you guys.
Did you schedule it to come out, or did you put it
for tomorrow? Don't worry.
Okay, all right. We recorded it. It's not going to be live, but it's still just off the chain. Watch out.
I was so confused about what you guys were saying. Okay, bien. Que por favor vaya a nuestro canal de YouTube, que mañana en la mañana ahí saldrá nuestra reunión comunitaria.
Yep. We're on the certificates. We're working on them today.
Yeah, they can wear, and students can wear shorts if it's hot. Just make sure they're appropriate length for school.
Que sí puede llevar short, pantalón corto, que son apropiados para la escuela. I didn't understand what you said, Mr. Keebler, about certificates.
We were working on them today.
And they'll be emailed to families when their student is Puma of the Week.
O que ahorita se está trabajando en nuevos certificados para los Pumas de la semana. Y cuando sí su hijo es indicado como Puma de la semana, se le enviará el certificado por email.
All right. Is that it for questions? I think it is.
¿Es
Thank
todo?
you, guys. Joe, I don't know about school pictures yet. We'll get it figured out. It's a possibility. I think I had an email from somebody. Beth, do you know anything about it?
I
Like
have a
vendor.
meeting set up with our Life Touch rep later in the month.
I'm sure they're trying to figure it out because that's their lifeblood, you know.
No se sabe todavía de las fotos en la escuela. Ms. Kalani tiene a finales de este mes una reunión de la compañía Lifetouch que hace las fotos y ya sabremos.
We're still waiting for our spring pictures from Lifetouch.
Estamos esperando todavía que nos entreguen nuestras fotos de la primavera.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm really excited for Tuesday. I know it's a lot of information, but you know, we're trying to do the best we can to keep everybody safe, and at the same time, you know, balance that with the love, care, and you know, home feel that we kind of like cherish at Irving Park.
Gracias a todos por asistir. Estamos súper emocionados para empezar el martes. Sabemos que ha sido mucha información, pero queremos asegurar que todos estén seguros, pero también balanceado con el amor, el cuidado, el sentido de estar en casa que queremos tener aquí en la escuela.
Yes, and we can figure out the participant list.
Of the participant list and stuff.
So,
Participant list?
yep.
We took pictures of the participant list to log.
In the chat, sorry, Nicole. It's the question in the chat.
Ok. Que sí tomamos fotos de la lista de los que participaron.
Thanks, guys.
Muchísimas gracias a todos.